PBN webinar. I know many of you have already attended a PBN webinar before, so it's fairly the same format. But today we are going to have a little different thing at the very end of our webinar after all the questions, and we'll stop the recording and we'll go into a different part of the meeting where we'll go over the survey results. So we sent out a survey to you all earlier this year, and we wanted to go over that with you. Okay, so hello, my name is Armando Venegas, and I am the director of USIMAC. And we have here our three coordinators, Mandy, Amy, and Javier, and of course, our executive secretary, Cassidy. And so we're all happy to be here. And as we go along in this webinar, feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we will be answering them as we go along. Okay, so with that said, let's go on to the next slide. So USIMAC, our mission statement is on the screen. USIMAC was founded in 2009 with a vision to help our school districts and charter schools here in the state of Utah to provide accessible educational material for all eligible students here in the state of Utah. This is required through IDEA, so it's a federal law, but also equity in education just requires us to provide these core textbooks and curricular materials in Braille and also other accessible formats at the same time as their sighted peers. So you are very key in accomplishing our mission in providing Braille to the students that require it. This is a challenging but rewarding goal that you are all part of, and we appreciate each one of you. We appreciate your professional and timely work to provide this resource to our students. As you know, Braille is not an easy job. There are a lot of moving parts, and in our case, there's also agency guidelines that you have to keep in mind, timelines, etc. And we realize that you all work with other agencies and are working on other things. So communication is extremely paramount with your editors. And we'll discuss more about this as we go on in our presentation. Okay. So the next screen, how to become a PBN. Anyone who has completed the Library of Congress Braille certification course may be eligible to become part of USIMAC's preferred Braille network. We review applications 3 times a year in October, in December, and February. During the summer, we are quite busy in production, so we don't meet in the summer. An evaluation team will evaluate your statement of qualification, your letter of interest, and your test results. And let you know.
Full screen this because it's stuck right
Rebecca,
here, and I don't want.
Can you mute yourself real quick?
Oh, I don't know how I have sound.
The evaluation team will evaluate your statement of qualification and your letter of interest and test results, and let you know if you have met the requirements to be an approved vendor, to be on the approved vendor list, and you will be notified via email. Okay, going on.
All right, so at the beginning of the year, active PBN members receive notification via email requesting your current year's price list. Updated price list forms are accepted by active PBN members year-round. The state of Utah is required to award contracts to the lowest available PBN member. We award contracts to available members with the lowest cost in the specified category first, and then continue to the next lowest, and so forth, moving through the list. If you choose not to submit a new signed price list form, you will remain inactive in our system for up to 1 calendar year, after which you will be required to reapply and retest. Now, if we have competing members, we will offer the project simultaneously to each PBN member within that price range, and we award contracts to the first PBN member to respond. If you're unsure what rates to list, please talk with others in the industry. or you can look at last year's rates that are posted on our website. If you want to receive more work, you may want to consider lowering your rate or pricing yourself according to your peers. Regarding the math portion of our testing, in 2021, our eligibility requirements changed for UEB technical math. So for active members who would like to bid on UEB technical, you will be required to complete our internal math tests. For non-members, as a prerequisite, you must first meet the qualifications to become a PBN member with USIMAC. Armando.
Okay. So once you are part of our PBN network, then we award bids. And so we're going to talk right now about how that process works, awarding and accepting work. So on your screen is an example of an award email that you would get. And you can read through it. I might read through a little part of it. This is a notification that a recently assigned project was accepted. Below, you will find a thread of emails outlining details of this project in which the PBN accepted along with the contract requirements. Please read over these details very carefully. So, as a reminder, all bids accepted after April of last year, April of 23, will have pre-approval to start 4 business days from the date the bid is accepted. So this is something new that we started in April, and it has been quite successful. So within 4 days after accepting pre-approval, you can start. You are authorized to begin work on that pre-approval start date. Now, if a contract is canceled after this date, you will be compensated for any completed work that you submit within 24 hours of contract cancellation email. Okay. As far as the approved purchase order, there's an example on your screen again. Please include the PO number on all invoices that you send in. We will reiterate the due date of your project as well as assign you an editor to work with if that editor was not already assigned. Please note that your editor cannot make changes to deadlines or authorize payments. So I'll repeat that. Your editor cannot make changes to the deadlines or authorize payment. That is for the coordinators or myself, Cassidy, to do. Okay, so then you can see on the screen the wording of that approved purchase order and the details that are included. So the project, once the purchase order is approved and you're already starting, the project process is that once you're assigned an editor, you will receive their contact information. And over the span of the year, you might be working with different editors. And so just pay attention to who is your editor for each project. And only work with that editor for that project. You must also include the CI number in the subject line of every communication. There we have it in red on the screen, so you can pay attention to that. It's very important that you include that CI number because we process over 3,000 and increasing numbers of projects every year. So the contracts established are based on these CI numbers. Without them, we won't know which contract you're talking about, and this will definitely cause delays to the student. USIMAC does not accept partial submissions of work, so please, we only accept submittal of complete volumes, chapters, units, sections, etc. No partials. Okay. Going on to project refusal. So project refusal, not responding to a project request, will count as a refusal. If you refuse a project request, then accept the next one, then your penalty clock will be reset. If you refuse a project request or fail to respond to a project request for 2 projects in a row, you will be skipped on the next project. If you refuse 3 consecutive projects, you'll be put on probation for 3 months. If you're on probation twice, we will remove you from our PBN approved vendor list for 2 years. And if you wish to reapply after that time, you will be required to retest. If, however, you would like to remove yourself from receiving Braille contract requests, there will be no penalty as long as you let us know ahead of time. We can approve this up to 1 calendar year. Examples for this request include maternity leave, surgery, life emergencies, and etc. However, we cannot approve your removal without penalty if you are on an active project. Please contact us at pbn@usdb.org if the need arises, and we will get back. We will work with you to extend your contract. Okay.
With regards to agency guidelines, we really haven't made any substantial changes. The only difference is the addition of something you'll notice, some of you may have noticed with projects last year, we kind of gave it to large projects only, but this is going to be a general rule. So when you start your projects, as a general rule, 3 volumes of body matter, 1 volume of preliminary, 1 supplement, and the cycle restarts. With the exception of a contract that tells you to follow a different workflow, and not all contracts will follow the same workflow depending on student need and various other things. So if you have any questions about your contract, you can address it with your assigned editor. Before starting the contract, please make sure to read through attachment C agency guidelines carefully. That way you can know what you're going to be expected to follow. The entire document is on our website and attached to every bid. So our next few slides will just kind of be a quick review. Here we have screenshot. It's now 13A. Last year it was 12A, but it's detailing how you would handle a separate tactographic volume, including there's pictures. And this process was implemented in 2022. The next slide is the screenshot of 13B, which used to be 12B, so it just kind of shifted everything. It's showing a math example detailing how you would handle embedded tactographics. However, refer to your contract email regarding which process to follow, and it's listed directly under the category level in the screenshot below with a green arrow. We will continue the R1, R2 proofreading process, which only applies to the first submission of the first volume of body matter, and subsequent volumes will be proofread as in past years. And this means that the first submission will go through 2 sets of proofreading before sending you the notes. The process provides an overview of potential issues in subsequent volumes, which in turn helps us improve the overall quality of the work. The error limit for R1, R2 is no more than 75 total errors. If your volume reaches max errors, it will be returned to you, and you will not receive violations only during the R1, R2 process. So be cautious when working ahead. If there's an agency or editor decision that will alter subsequent volumes, you will be required to make those changes, even if the volumes have been previously submitted. Cassidy.
All right. So invoicing and receiving payments. Customer service will verify with your editor the number of pages we received from you against the number of pages you submitted. Once you receive this confirmation email or final fact sheet, you can email an invoice to pbn@usdb.org. You have the option to submit an invoice for completed Braille pages each time you receive the final fact sheet or at the very end of your project. Please, please, please include the following in your invoice. The date that is required or the state will not process it, your PO or purchase order number, the CI number, number of volumes and page count, and then whether or not that invoice does close that purchase order or not. It just speeds up the process. It makes it a lot easier on our side, and you'll get your payment faster if those are all in there. Yeah, not including that could delay the payment. So also please note that per state of Utah's terms and conditions, the state will make every effort to complete your payment within 30 days. However, the state does allow up to 60 days to process payments. We ask that you send us a follow-up email if you have not received your payment within 30 days of submitting your invoice. And if for some reason it does ever take up to 60 days, then you can submit a new invoice, including interest charges. And then here is an example of the final fact sheet that you'll be receiving. So it's similar to fact sheets that you've received in past years.
Thank you. So going to contract violations, there are various contract violations in this list that you have on the screen. I'm going to read through them right now. 6 and 7 are new this year. So number 1, missing a submission deadline by 24 hours. 2, not responding within 24 hours of receipt of purchase order. 3, submitting the wrong format or not adhering to agency guidelines and or contract requirements. 4, not following through with corrections within 5 business days after proofreading notes are received. And 5, submitting a volume with more than 45 errors for levels 1 and 2 and 75 errors for level 3 and above, including foreign language level 2. The next 2 are new this year. So number 6, any submitted volume that needs to be proofread more than 3 times. And number 7, not correcting all errors listed on the error sheet without explanation or dispute up to 5 times per contract. And then going on, what are the penalties for these violations? And again, they're on the screen. First violation is a warning. Second violation will result in a 10% deduction in final payment. And a third violation will result in contract cancellation for any current projects and subsequent probation period of 3 months. So you will have, in that case, 24 hours to submit the work you have completed, and you will be paid for that piece only, minus, of course, the 10% deduction, and you will begin your probation period. Again, repeating from before, if you are put on probation twice, USIMAC will remove you from our PBN approved vendor list for 2 years. If you wish to reapply after that time, you will be required to retest. And then going on to the next screen, we have just screenshots of our website, usimac.org. And here you will find at the very top, you'll find a drop down. It's PBN, Preferred Braille Network. And there you have information to join and also for current members. Now, under the current members, you'll see on the second part of the page, if you scroll down from the beginning at the top, PBN documents are included there. These are for current PBN members, and there's transcription pricing, invitation to contract letter, which we sent out yesterday, price list form, which we sent out yesterday, and the updated PBN agency guidelines, etc. And there's plenty of other resources there, including tips and tricks for Braille, for using Braille 2000. So just take some time to go through our website and make sure you're familiar with all the different resources there. Okay, so I know we went through a lot and pretty quick, but we are now at the end of the PBN webinar, and we'd like also, of course, to welcome any newcomers and remind you that it is just a pleasure to have you all on our team. If you have any questions right now, you can unmute and ask those questions. But we will stop the recording